Welcome to Unity of Wilmington. So grateful, yes, woo woo, that you are joining us in this online service and in person, bringing the warmth of your heart and the depth of your consciousness. We are a spiritual community that is committed to expanding consciousness and inspiring personal transformation. So, yes, you are here with us right now. We begin our time together by affirming Unity's statement of being. Let's say it together. There is only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God the good, omnipotence. Allow that truth to reverberate in your mind, to echo in every cell of your body, reminding you of your divine nature, your wholeness, and your spiritual pattern for perfection. In this community, as we begin our time together, we're going to remind you three very important truths about yourself. One is that you are a beloved expression of God. The second is that you're here for a holy purpose. And the third is that wherever you are, whether it be in the building at Unity of Wilmington or online, you are in the right place at the right time, right now.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deeper kind of love, to a sweeter kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deeper kind of love, to a sweeter kind of life. Get ready, my soul. 'Cause here I go, closer, closer, closer than I've ever been before. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to a deeper kind of love, to a sweeter kind of life. Get ready, my soul. So get ready, my soul.
Terrell Williams and Katie Dees on the piano. Yay. Are you ready? Are you ready? Yeah, and if you're watching online, are you ready? Are you ready to dive a little bit deeper and to walk out of here a little bit different? Or as different as you're ready to walk out of here? It could be a whole lot. It's up to you, because it's always up to us. I want to talk to you about freedom. Sometimes that's a scary word because it's easier at times to see ourselves in bondage, or at the effect of is another word for bondage, than it is to see the open space, the unknown in front of us, the infinite possibilities in front of us. So how many of you have ever, and I'll be the first to raise my hand, have ever felt like you are actually stuck, and I know most people don't like to use that word, but stuck in your past, or that you're in bondage to some degree to your past? I love it. I love your honesty. I don't know too many people who haven't felt that way at some point in their lives. And the truth is, we get stuck. And the other truth is, there's nothing wrong with getting stuck. The difficulty comes when we don't see a way out, when we don't think there's another way. But there's always another way. And sometimes it's a challenge to find it. I know I have had those challenges in my life. And yet, when we're willing to look, when we're willing to ask, when we're willing to seek, that other way is going to come forth. And it comes in such a multitude of ways. It could come from a song on the radio. It could come from a book. It could come from a dream. It could come from a thought that just seems to come out of nowhere, that just emerges. Oh, yes. I didn't think about that before. And there it is. And sometimes when we start to focus on something else other than what we're feeling at the effect of, or feeling like we're pushing up against, then that very thought that we need comes forth and comes forward. And it's very real, this phenomena of feeling like we're at the effect of something. At times, it feels very real to us. There's a group of psychologists in 1960, 1970. They started in the 60s and the 70s. Martin Seligman and a guy named Stephen Meyer. And they started looking at stress responses and trauma. They got curious. And you know, when we get curious about something, and we're really, truly curious, we often get passionate. Our curiosity will lead us to passion. And when we get curious and we start to explore something, even at times when we're like stuck in something, if we can just get curious about it, wow, what is this about for me? Where did this come from? Whose voice was this in my head? Where did I pick it up and start to hang on to it and, put it in my knapsack and carry it around over my shoulder all the time? When we can start to get curious, we are actually beginning that process of opening something up. So Seligman and Meyer got curious, and they got curious about trauma and what happens when people or animals, because a lot of psychology research starts with animals because it's thought to be more ethical than beginning with people for certain things. So Seligman began to look at dogs who had been traumatized and who had been in situations where they couldn't escape that trauma. And what they did was they would put the dogs in a cage, and the cage would have two parts, and there would be a plexiglass piece that separated the two parts of the cage. And so the dog couldn't escape part A of the cage. And when they put certain traumatic responses with the dog or experiences with the dog, and then they lifted that plexiglass cage and they added that same stimulus, the dogs wouldn't move. And the Seligman called that learned helplessness. And then he started to do it with people. And he did it with people around noise. So people would be in a room and they would have this gadget that had a button on it that if they pushed the button a number of times, then the noise would stop. Have you ever been in a place where you just wanted the noise to stop? Yeah, I have too. And so what they discovered is the same thing with people. Certain types of events in our lives, call them triggering events, call them any kind of events, call them something happens. Something happens, and all of a sudden there's that whoosh of our past that comes through. For me, sometimes that whoosh is shame. Sometimes it's whoosh of, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I did it wrong. Oh, I made a mistake. What's your whoosh? All of us have a whoosh that comes up from the past at times. And so what Seligman did was he got curious again, because what he called his phenomenon was learned helplessness. Well, who wants to be called helpless or powerless? When we're down and somebody says, oh, you're just being helpless, does it help? Not usually. Usually it just makes me mad. Or I should say it triggers my mad that's already inside of me, if I want to be really accurate. But then he got curious about what he was doing, and he said, if this is what happens when people have trauma, then what is resilience, and how can we change? How can we be different? How can something help us and support us to do something different? And this is what he discovered. There are three aspects of what we consider paralyzing or helplessness or powerlessness or being at the effect of, whatever word you want to put in there. One is cognitive. It's our thought process. We perceive that we have no control over our environment, and thus all circumstances are uncontrollable. When it happens once or twice, but about the 100th time, it's like, is there anything in my life I can control? We begin to ask that question. The second piece is motivational. When we feel like there's a lot in our lives that we're having difficulty controlling, it's difficult to generate the energy from within us to create change. So it begins, can you see how life begins to build on itself? It's like that snowball effect. If you start a little snowball rolling down a hill and it picks up more and more and more snow, and soon that little snowball is pretty big. So we can go from our thinking, and remember our spiritual philosophy and unities, everything begins in the mind. So when we begin that thinking of, oh, there's nothing I can do to change something, and we have difficulty generating the energy to begin to make the change, then it creates a sense of helplessness. And over time, it begins to lower our self-esteem. Now, do you feel hopeless? Do you feel like, oh my gosh, what do I do? But I have an idea for you. And Seligman began to look at this idea, and he started with the idea of there's an activating event, there's a belief, and there's a consequence. We talk about this as the ABC. There's an activating event. Something happens in the world, and it's the activating event. And then we engage our belief. Because that something happened, we have now engaged our thinking process, our feeling process, and our action process. And then there's a consequence after we engage in all this. And so here's an example. So someone cuts you off in traffic. That's the activating event. What do? What's your reaction? Most of us have a reaction. Someone cuts us off in traffic. Maybe you think, sometimes I think this, "You idiot, I can't believe that was so rude. What are you doing? Where'd you learn to drive?" I'm adding to it, can you tell? And then there's consequence. You're overcome with anger and you're yelling at the other driver. And then I catch myself, oh my gosh, I am yelling at a driver who can't hear me, and I am activated, and I am the one who's actually revved up. This is kind of like that Buddha saying, if you're angry at somebody, it's like you're holding a hot coal in your own hand. Who does it hurt? If I'm that activated over somebody else's action, who is it hurting? Just me. They're driving off. Who knows where they're going? But I'm still carrying it around. I put it in my backpack and I got it, and maybe I've now had to add a second backpack, or maybe a rollerboard, you know, those suitcases on wheels so we can carry it a little easier. I might have to do that. But we all do it. And again, there's nothing wrong with doing this. This is part of our being fully human. But what we're being called to, I believe, is to take a look at this, to do the observation of what's going on here. And so the observation is noticing our thoughts, our feelings, and our behavior. Wow, whose voice called that driver an idiot? I remember when I was learning to drive, we had this Pinto. Do you remember those? Some of you are too young to remember a Pinto, I'm sure. But we had this blue Pinto, and it had this funny clutch. So I'm learning to drive standard, and my mom is in the car with me, and she was a little, like, I'm sure I really caused a few gray hairs in her life, but she's teaching me, and I really am grateful she's teaching me. And this is after driver's ed, you guys. But in driver's ed, we didn't have standard. We had to have an automatic car. And so my mom's teaching me on this Pinto with this funny clutch. And you got to get the clutch and the gas just right, otherwise it bucks just like a Pinto would. I mean, the car really literally bucked, and I left a few black marks, you know, tire marks on the road. And our next door neighbor one time in his own yard did this. I mean, it was kind of funny, but I was learning. And I remember the thought, oh, I will never learn how to do this. And my mom came through in that moment, and she said, it takes time, and this is a funny car. And you'll notice every car is different. I mean, that was really something. So it gave me an opportunity to notice my thinking. But I also remember having the thought that I was an idiot because I didn't know how to do it the first time. Do any of you have that complex? I'm supposed to know how to do something perfectly the very first time I do it. I see some heads nodding. Yep, I have that. And so I'm sure that's where that thought came from. So notice my thoughts, notice my feelings, notice my behavior. Oh, here's some anger. I could make myself wrong for being angry, or I could actually explore that. I could get curious. Wow, where's that coming from? Why am I so angry at something somebody else did? Was it really, truly directed toward me? Probably not. Probably not. And so as Seligman began to look at this, what he started to say was, there's another step. This word is disputation. It's a $1 million psychological word for tell another story. You know, tell the story differently. So here's the different story. I don't know what situation this driver is in. I have no idea. And then I start making up stories. Remember, Mindy and I play with this all the time. We start making up stories. Maybe he's on his way to his daughter's piano recital and he's late and he's feeling guilty. So he's not thinking about anybody else but getting to that piano recital. It's a possibility in the realm of all possibilities. Maybe something else is going on. I'm sure I've cut people off before without meaning to. Probably clueless, totally clueless on my part. So really I should give him a break. And I'm not in a hurry anyway. One time, I'm living in California and I'm driving on the 405 and I'm headed for work. And it's rush hour. And I lived in a place that would take me 15 minutes to get home if it was not rush hour, or 15 minutes to get to work, but 45 if it was rush hour. So I'm driving along, I'm on the freeway, and this guy comes onto the freeway and he hits me from the on-ramp. And we both pull over, and just like this example, I had this surge of anger. It was like a whoosh, the Nike whoosh of anger. And I got out of the car, and I'm sure my eyes were big and bulging, and I was really mad. What are you doing? He's like, I'm driving on the freeway, and you hit me. And he looked at me, and he said, my wife is having surgery. I was just trying to get to the hospital. Oh, boy, did I feel like a heel. But that was a magical lesson for me. Magical in that I got out of my own experience and got an opportunity to see that it's not all about me, but that what was going on actually had nothing to do with me. I just happened to be in that place. And that he came on and he had something totally different going on in his life. So how often are we in reaction to somebody else who they're not even really seeing us? Eric Butterworth talks about this regularly in his books, that we see the world not as the world is, but we see the world as we are. So clearly that day I had some anger to express, and unfortunately, instead of knowing it for myself, I took it out on somebody else. And I got the magical lesson of recognizing that sometimes it's not about me. And I was carrying around a chip on my own shoulder. And what a gift. What a gift acknowledging our experience can be, because we can begin to unravel it and see, where did this come from? Where did this come from? And is this who I want to show up in the world? Is this who I want to be? Now, we can take the same example, the activating event. Traffic just seems to be something that's kind of universal these days. But maybe you're having an argument with a friend. And the behavior is you get tense in your body and you raise your voice and you really want that person to have the same opinion as you. Have you ever done that? And then you decide, oh, I must not be a very good friend, or they're not a very good friend. We could go either way with this. And then we can step back, take a breath, observe, wow, what is my thinking? What is my thinking? What am I feeling? And then when we can do this from a non-judgmental place, and is this who I want to be in this world? Is this who I came here to be? When we can do that, what an opportunity to go back within ourselves first and to see, oh, what part of my past have I just brought forward into the present moment? See, we don't have to ever go looking for the past. It will show up in our present moment all the time. But do we recognize it when it does? Are we willing to say, oh, there's my past. Let me make friends with it. Let me embrace it. Let me bring love to what in the past I probably didn't love because it's now here in my now moment, and see what happens. And how can I simply observe myself as non-judgmentally as possible? And how can I observe another and say, oh, I wonder what's going on with them? And then when we do that, maybe the question becomes, is there something between us? Is there something going on in your life I can support you with? I'm kind of surprised at this interaction right now, and I take full responsibility for what I bring to it, not for what anybody else brings to it. Because if there's two people involved, there's actually 200% responsibility. So I'm going to bring 100% responsibility to what I bring to it, and I'm going to give space for the other person to do so or not. That's not my business. The only piece that's my business is what I've brought to it. And that is where my freedom lies, in that knowingness that the only piece that's my responsibility is what I'm bringing to it. Am I reacting to the situation? Am I having that whoosh of energy? And usually when that whoosh comes, it's not joy. Or am I taking a breath, even if I've had the whoosh, and making a clear choice? How would I like to respond? Oh, sometimes it feels so much better to let the adrenaline flow, because really that's what that whoosh is that adrenaline. And we have a habit. We've learned the habits of having adrenaline. Or is the whoosh an opportunity to have a flag on the play, so to speak, so I can take a moment and get conscious? So am I at the effect of? Or am I over here setting the tone for? Am I at the effect of the situation and what's going on in my life, or what's going on in what I see in the outer? Or am I choosing to set the tone for how I move forward no matter what's happening in the outer? I believe with every cell in my body that the spiritual philosophy of unity invites us to begin to do this, to recognize that we do have freedom, that we do have freedom. Freedom metaphysically is having a sense of complete well-being, and having that sense of complete well-being as a result of regulating one's life according to principle, not according to what anyone else may think or say. And do you ever have that thought, oh, I wonder what so-and-so will think if I do this, if I say this? I have those thoughts sometimes. But regulating my life according to principle. And what do we know about principle? What we focus on expands. So where are we keeping our focus? Are we keeping it in the back, in the past, in the backpacks, in the rollerboard, maybe a bigger suitcase? I need a whole set of luggage for some of my past. Or am I choosing to look through it? And the events of today's life give us the opportunity to look through it. To go, oh, here's an opportunity to do it differently. To notice, to see, to observe, and to tell a different story. To simply tell a different story. What's a new story? Reverend Mindy and I will be driving down the road, and we'll be talking about something, and we'll just jump into this game. What's another story you could tell about that? And another story. And we get really creative with it, and eventually we're laughing. And that thing, whatever it was, has little power over us then. Because the moment we come into laughter about something happens, or the activating event, or whatever you want to call it, the moment we can come into laughter, we are no longer in the grip of it. It's like a persona, a mask that we wear, or a role that we take on. I was talking to a friend of mine, and she gave me permission to use this story, but she went to 2 weddings of her children this summer. One was down in Mexico, and she was, her name is Kat, and she was like Senora Kat, or Senorita Kat. She was having so much fun. It was so, it was lively, and the music was, elevated and joyful, and that was her persona at the wedding of her son. And she was having so much fun. And then she went to another wedding in Ireland, and it was very serious. And she said, I was like Dame Kat. So she had a whole different persona. So we all carry a lot of different personas around. You know, we can have the bubbly, joyful persona. We can have the sort of intense, mad persona. And we can have the persona that's like, "Grrr," like a monster. We have all those. We can notice them, figure out where they come from, play with them, and lose the grip of them by telling another story. So what story are you telling about your life? What story you're telling? The writer of Galatians says, it is absolutely clear that God has called you to a free life. Take a moment. Are you living that freedom? And where are you and where are you not? And don't make yourself wrong. Get curious. But it is absolutely clear that God has called you to a free life. Just make sure that you don't use this freedom as an excuse to do whatever you want to do and destroy your freedom. Rather, use your freedom to serve one another in love. That's how freedom grows. Unity philosophy, spiritual philosophy, calls us to self-responsibility. It calls us to what choice are we going to make in this moment? What choice are we going to make in this moment? What am I willing to do to see my triggers? And when I notice my triggers, what am I going to do about them? We had a cat. His name was Eric. He's no longer on this earth plane, but luckily not because of me. But there were a few times that I wasn't so sure because of what it brought up in me. But he was struggling, and he was getting older. And so he would go outside his litter box, which pushed my buttons. I mean, it really pushed my buttons. And I can remember one day picking him up and looking at him eyeball to eyeball. And this is not a good thing to do with a cat. If you're a cat owner, they don't like it because they see it as an aggressive challenge. I picked him up and looked at him and said, if you don't stop, I'm going to take you out. And I heard myself, and I put him down, and I said, oh, let me back up here. But I was so mad. And I started to look at that anger. Where does that come from in me? And where did I learn that? And I began to unravel it and trace it back, and there it was. That's a right on. That's a right on sneeze. There it was. And I had a choice to make in that moment. What am I going to do? Am I going to carry this forward and let it erupt in me like a volcano does? Or am I going to deal with it? And I still struggle when a cat goes outside the litter box sometimes. And cats will do that. And they will especially do it when I'm stressed. I see the correlation. So it's an opportunity for me to spend more time in meditation. It's an opportunity for me to be more expressive of my feelings so that I'm not inviting the outer reflection of my inner experience. What are you willing to do in your life to face freedom so that you can have that sense of well-being all the time? It's ours by divine right. It's part of that fully divine, individual expression of God that we are. To me, it's exciting. And it carries a lot of responsibility. Response, space, ability. An ability to respond. Because just like the author of Galatians, and remember, Galatians was a letter written in response to a letter. And we don't have that first letter. Because Galatians was one of the early spiritual communities. We don't know exactly what the author is responding to. But we know from this that there's been some folks that have been taking their freedom and misusing it. Well, I'm free in God, so I can do anything I want to do, and it doesn't matter what I do because it doesn't have an impact on anyone else. I can remember a time in my life where I was in my early 30s, And I met a breathwork teacher who was the most loving person I'd ever met up until that time. And no matter what I did, he just loved me. And so one day I said, would you love me no matter what? And he said yes. And he's one of the few people that I believe when he said yes, he meant yes. And I said, that means I could do anything. And he said, you could, and I would still love you. Because the love is about me. It's not really about you. The love is about me and what I'm choosing and how I'm choosing to be in this world. Because he had already unraveled that. Am I in reaction or am I over here setting the tone for something? And that actually scared me more than what I had grown up in the reactions. To have somebody give me that level of freedom in our relationship scared me more, because I began to realize that now I had that response space, responsibility. It begins when we take it. And I took it with him. And I became more responsible for what I brought into our interactions. He was my teacher. He taught me a big lesson in life. And I wanted to model him. And I want to set the tone. I want to be the highest frequency I can be anytime I'm in the room. Do I do it all the time? No. But that is my intention. That is my intention. So I have to battle the adrenaline that comes with reaction sometimes. I have to take a look at the whoosh inside of me that comes from my I'm not good enough place. But the beauty is, under the whoosh of I'm not good enough is the truth, the capital T truth, that I am divine. And that same thing is true for each of you. There is something radically right about each of you, and it is your divinity. And it's like Mission Impossible. Should you choose to accept it, you can live with it and have this sense of well-being all the time. Let's take that into a time of meditation. There is something radically right about me. Go ahead and say that. There is something radically right about me. And sometimes that can be scarier than I'm not good enough. There is something radically right about me. Take a breath into that and let that settle. Let that settle in your heart space. There is something radically right about me. Who did I come here to be? And what steps am I going to take with me from this moment on? And when I leave this space and this time, how am I going to be different? How am I going to be different? How am I going to express the love that I am? How am I going to recognize that that's them and this is me? And what they're doing, whoever they are in our lives, probably has very little to do with us, because we see the world from our own level of consciousness. And am I willing, ask yourself the question, am I willing to stand in the consciousness of my divinity? The master teacher, the universal teacher, Jesus taught, seek first the consciousness of God. The word Jesus often used was kingdom, but metaphysically, kingdom is consciousness. Seek first the highest consciousness. God is love. God is not loving, but God is love. We're created in the image of and as the likeness of God. Therefore, we are love. It is there. We might cover it up with experience, but it is there, and it is shining forth. We might cover it up with the traumas, something happens in our lives, and yet fact that we are divine, that we are radiant, that we are the light of the world is shining forth because there is something radically right about us. Are you willing to celebrate yourself? The very fact that you are experiencing life. And as we come back into this room, into this time and this place, as we listen to Terrell sing, are you willing to step forth as a new being? We are renewed by our thinking. We are renewed by our choices. Who have you come here to be? And are you willing to express it fully?
So you made mistakes before. Walk down the road a little sideways. Cracked a brick and you hit the wall. Yeah, you got a pocket full of regrets. Hold you down faster than a sunset. Hey, it happens to us all. When the cold hard rain just won't quit and you can't see a way out of it, you find your faith has been lost and shaken. You take back what's been taken. Get on your knees and dig down deep. You can do what you think is impossible. Keep on believing, don't give in. It'll come and make you whole again. It always will, it always does. Love is unstoppable. Love, it can weather any storm, bring you back to being born again. Oh, it's a helping hand when you need it most. A lighthouse shining from the coast that never goes dim. When your heart's so full of doubt and you can't find a way out, you find your faith has been lost and shaken. You take back what's been taken. Get on your knees and dig down deep. You can do what you think is impossible. Keep on believing, don't give in. It'll come and make you whole again. It always will, it always does. Love is unstoppable.
If you've been moved, touched, or inspired, we invite you to generously support this message and this community with your gifts of support. We have Facebook. There's a button there. There's a donate button on our website. There's Venmo. You can find us at Unity of Wilmington. And of course, if you're in the house, you can put it in the basket in the back of the room on your way out the door. Thank you for supporting this community and supporting this message and allowing Unity of Wilmington to do what it does best.
There is something radically right about you. Say it with me. There is something radically right about me. And then turn to somebody or put it in the chat, you guys. There is something radically right about you. Let's live it fully as we can in every moment and have fun doing it.
Unstoppable.
You find your faith has been lost and shaken. You take back what's been taken. Get on your knees and dig down deep. You can do what you think is impossible. Keep on believing, don't give in. It'll come and make you whole again. It always will, it always does. Love is unstoppable. unstoppable. So you made a lot of mistakes, walked down the road a little sideways, but love is unstoppable.